Tonight, we started off with a 7-0 game, and then we went to max OT. It shows that the BR6 can throw up a lot of surprises, doesn't it, Ollie?
It really does. You know, we've said that there's quality from bottom to top, and I was kind of getting a little bit worried after yesterday and after our first game today at that statement, but it remains true, Chunks, and that's the main thing.
Absolutely, it does. Look, third game of the evening demo, NIP versus FURIA. One that I think most people are looking at as the one to watch tonight, because NIP definitely struggling, whereas FURIA seemingly on really good form right now.
Yeah, you've got one team who is just on top of their game right now, and then you've got NIP. That's pretty much where we're at. You've got FURIA, who right now just has so much momentum, have looked so good since coming back from Mexico, and NIP, where they've really looked the opposite, I would say, since I would say maybe Copa Elite 6 last time. Obviously Mexico was not good for them, so they're on a very big downhill spiral, and I worry. I am worrying for NIP. You know, this great dynasty. I know that teams have struggled with this. I know that you know, you look at teams who have won invitationals. G2 eventually went through this process. Even SSG at stage went through this process. But I didn't expect it to come as quick as what it was. Invite was only, what, 5 months ago? 4 months ago? Whatever it was. It was not too long ago, Chunks, and we're already seeing some bad stuff from NIP that we just did not expect.
Yeah, it's worrying for NIP, but if you don't know anything about the teams, don't worry, because we do have a short introduction to both the teams, so check this one out.
The Ninjas appear to have fallen out of domination since the last Copa Elite 6. FURIA may not have earned any titles, but have managed to maintain a high level of competitiveness, with few errors apparent. The question is, Miracle, are you still afraid of NIP?
Olha, eu acho que eles vão vir bem fortes, porque eles estão em um ano que eles ganharam o Invitational, eles tiveram essa derrota no Major aí, mas eu acho que eles viram o que estava dando errado para eles, o que podia dar certo, e eu acho que eles vão vir bem mais fortes para esse torno do Brasileirão.
Of course, we should expect NIP to show up with force. After all, this lineup was always strong. FURIA said it themselves. This year, of the 4 matches played against NIP, FURIA have only won 1.
O último jogo contra a FURIA foi consolado, o mapa é que ele joga muito bem, a gente também, foi bem disputado, 8-6.
Foi um jogo difícil, a gente evoluiu muito depois desse jogo, porque eles se aproveitaram bastante de erros nossos, a gente não conseguiu finalizar rounds que era pra gente ter finalizado.
Both teams are close in the table and certainly don't want to fall behind.
E creio que esse jogo agora vai ser bem disputado também, porque eles vêm numa crescente, né? Jogaram muito bem o Major.
Olha, o que a gente projeta pro jogo contra a NIP dessa vez é vir com uma preparação forte, a preparação tática forte, não cometer os mesmos erros da última vez, não dar brecha pros caras se aproveitarem.
A good game is a guarantee when these two great forces of Brazilian Siege meet. Whether the Ninjas' history will prove fatal, or if FURIA's consistent growth will be decisive, we'll find out in this all-important game between NIP and FURIA.
Well, the game's starting a little bit quicker than expected, so we're not going to hold you up anymore. Here are the bands. We are out here on Litoral. Ollie, Demo, take it away.
Thank you very much, Chunks. We, of course, are on Coastline. For anybody that is unfamiliar with Litoral, where have you been? It is, of course, Coastline. And, well, NIP versus FURIA. Now, the last couple of times that these two teams have faced off, as we heard there inside of that short little video, these guys have chosen to play on Consulate. Now, that, of course, is no longer a thing, so it is not possible. A little fun fact, NIP are currently winning 3-4 against FURIA. If we look back to the start of Stage 1, they've seen each other, of course, in Stage 1 and Stage 2, and in both of the Copa Elite 6 finals for each respective phase. FURIA able to get the win in the first time of meeting, way back in Stage 1. Since then, NIP have dominated. Now we are on Coastline, and this is a map that both teams are fairly well known for, Demo.
I don't really know what to do now because you've kind of taken my job. That's what I do, the head-to-heads and the fun facts. The demo fun facts that didn't stick at all, but you know. But yeah, it's like you mentioned, good history between both these teams. The fact that I think FURIA knows that they can beat NIP is going to be a big boost. You know, that's going to be massive for this team, and I think FURIA, this is theirs, right for the picking. NIP, with how they've been playing Ollie, this should be a match that FURIA come in and win. This is D-Day, almost, for NIP. If NIP lose another game, Ollie, and that's them 0-4, wow. Wow.
Starts to undo a lot of the hard work they did in Stage 2 at that point. And, I mean, it's an unusual circumstance enough that NIP are coming into this one as the underdogs, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion as well. And that's backed up by stats. It's not just simply a bias, you know, to one team or another. I think that it's a genuine, as you say, it's a genuine concern. And if, you know, for FURIA to have that advantage as well, that mental edge of coming into this game knowing that, you know, they know that every team's beatable, but they know at the minute that NIP is very beatable. It's certainly going to give them a little bit of an edge, especially with how a couple of these guys have been playing. We were speaking earlier about ratings, and that's a stat line that FURIA currently dominate, which is kind of unusual given the fact that they've played, you know, the fewest amount, or some of the fewest amount of games so far. But look at him go already. Fantasy picks up 2 out there on the roam. Muzi and Pino, the dynamic duo, shut down. Eventually, Fantasy will be refragged, but damage has been done.
Yeah, Fantasy inside the top 10 rated players so far throughout the year inside of Brazil, so certainly the player that you need to watch out for on FURIA. But then again, Ollie, we said many a times before, you need to watch out for everyone on FURIA because they are just that good. So NIP have been hit. The dynamic duo of Pino and Muzi are gone. They are out of the building. Now it comes down to Julio, Kamikaze, and Psycho to see if they can clutch up for their team. They are attacking onto Sunrise and Blue Bar, and Ollie, they have like no control whatsoever on anything. They don't have the upstairs. They don't have even in towards Sauna at this stage. They have nothing. This is going to be very, very difficult for NIP to actually pull off this attack. They need to move quick. I think they're going to rely very heavily on individual plays now. I think Psycho needs to go big. He needs to take upstairs and utilize that hatch and eliminate anyone who may be lurking in towards couches. So, a lot of pressure on the individuals from NIP. Julio will come in and just give him a little bit of a handle. Like, give the air jabs, but still 40 seconds. They haven't burned up C4s yet. That's a great pick, though. Lenda lurking around towards Courtyard will give himself up just for free, pretty much, Ollie. And now NIP, all of a sudden, there's a glimmer of hope.
There is. It's an equal 3 versus 3. There's still a couple of C4s.
Never mind.
Miracle shuts down Kamikaze. Nice little one tap there as C4 flies, but it is unsuccessful. Psycho now is going to be the next to try and plant that diffuser. It looks as though he's going to get it down successfully. Rare now looking to get into position to move on through, but Highs makes the C4 stick. And Julio upstairs has too many angles to check. Plenty of time to disable that diffuser. Great round from Rare and a great round from FURIA on the whole. Everybody providing a very good contribution there into what was a successful first round.
It looks as if NIP maybe had something going for them, but then Miracle. I mean, Ollie, I know the shot is fantastic whenever you start laughing at the shot just because of how ridiculous it is. Like, that's whenever I know, yeah, it's a good one. Whenever we get the funny bones.
I do have a tendency to chuckle a little bit if a shot's exceptionally good, and I don't know why. It's not like a nervous chuckle.
It's stupid. Ugh.
Yeah, it is stupidly good, you know?
I think back to, I think must be one of the kills at Invite for me and you, Ollie. Who was it Paulu swinging in on Consulate into the bottom Visa Star windows, and remember he hit like that hip fire? And me and you just start laughing because of how outrageous it was. Like, it's just stupid. It just is.
Yeah, a little bit, sometimes it's just a little bit out of control. And there's no other way to do it than just to sit back, marvel, and to enjoy the spectacle it can often be. But FURIA getting themselves off to a lightning start there. Something that we brought up yesterday, which didn't really proved to have too much bearing in the game was Pino and his opening kills. Pino is exceptionally good in that stat. He's really good on the entry. Yesterday, he had a torrid time of things. He was really struggling with getting those opening picks and often was finding himself first-blooded instead. Now, we've only seen one round so far, but he was gone very early on inside of this game as well. So he's someone to keep an eye out on. Certainly somebody to keep an eye on, sorry. For how he performs in that opening engagement. NIP are a team, as are many, that do very well fighting from that little bit of an advantage. And if that advantage isn't going your way more often than not, it can really start to cause some problems.
So moving on now into the second round, and FURIA gonna head up to the default bomb site. This is the most played, the most favored, so no surprises to see it here today. Mira does slip into this lineup, and don't really see Mira windows be played all too often on the hookah, but again, we're seeing this VIP hold come in. With the addition of that new kind of window being covered off by a big sheet of metal into the 90 corridor, it now allows you to actually play somebody on 90 with a Mira window looking into VIP, so that helps out just a little bit. It kind of, I think, push away NIP from that side of the map, because as we know, Ollie, clearing a Mira window is not the easiest of jobs to do so, and whenever we're dealing with Habana being banned out, it makes that also more difficult.
Does Mira's obviously experience some changes in that it can be meleeed and it can be made opaque fairly simply, but still it's something that you've got to try and do. It's another job to perform, and especially when you're already feeling quite pressured. NIP a team at the moment that isn't doing fantastic on the time, not necessarily inside of this round, but just in general on their attacks. They are looking a little bit slower. This round's started better for them though, as they've managed to find that first kill. They've taken down Rare. It was Muzi on the Ash that was able to find him. So it's at least a better start than the previous round. NIP currently just gathering that information. They got Pino on his favourite hookah window.
Yeah, he loves that.
Loves that angle. Psycho, he's going to be playing double window as well. And between the two of them, they're going to be able to cut off quite a large portion of the site here. You can see other players stacked up on the hookah balcony. This could accumulate in a plant very soon.
Yeah, it almost turns everyone in FURIA into statues. You don't have any breathing room, you cannot move, and that's where NIP becomes so deadly. Whenever they find out your position and you're kind of constricted into one little area of the map, they will tear you apart, and they've done just that. A flawless to respond. There's the NIP that we know. That's the NIP that we fear, Ollie. But where have they been so far this season?
There's a textbook NIP attack there, really, for that site. They are a exceptionally accomplished team, especially on Coastline. It is a map that really favours them. We're just going to have a quick look at how we actually got to this map. Obviously, we missed the bans getting thrown into the game so quickly. We can see there that it was actually Furia's decision to take us into a Coastline. They were the last team to ban, and they banned a cafe. Now, it's no real surprise that you're going to ban a cafe.
Yeah.
Chalet Clubhouse buying call being removed first 3. No major surprises there with the way that these have sort of fallen. And I think that NIP have done a good job here to get onto a Coastline, I think, because Furia will feel fairly confident on this. But yeah, NIP are such a good team at adapting and making things up on the fly. This is a map that really suits them.
Yeah, this is quite a good map for Furia. We've seen them play at a lot of Mexico, and it did give them some good games to watch from them. So a very solid side on this map. So immediately moving away from hookah, Ollie, straight to the penthouse in Furia, which has just been revitalized with the small changes. Removing a window, putting in double reinforcements, adding in a little bit more room to work with inside of VIP also. It just makes all the difference. It is crazy to think that just one little change makes a bomb site viable. It is insane.
It shows just what sort of margins you're working with in a game like Siege, though, in terms of, you know, micro adjustments. You know, on a percentage basis, how much of this map has actually been changed. I think if you worked it all out, it'd be a very slim percentage indeed, but it makes such a big difference given the areas that are now viable. You know, you mentioned there you've got the change inside of VIP. It just means that you can play somebody inside of VIP. The biggest problem for me about this site, and it will always remain, I imagine, is the big window, the double window that looks in toward Penthouse. That is just a big problem.
Yeah, it's as soon as diffuser gets planted and there's a guy on the double window, it's just over. It just really is. It's so difficult to retake from that position, and we've seen teams execute that extremely well. Now we move in. We'll see how NIP want to set up. More than likely, their main goal will be to try and open in towards VIP, of course. No mirror this time, so maybe Twitch doesn't get as much value as what she normally would have with those drones, and I think that's possibly why Psycho is picking up Twitch, just in case mirror windows ever do sneak into the FURIA lineup. Be a great counter to them, of course. Well, NIP again just sussing out their opponents. That's some great information, though, from Highs, and oh, I thought it was not going to be fed over to Lenda. It looks as if Lenda, he didn't know he was there, but Muzi does not land his shots and will be punished in that engagement, so sketchy for FURIA, but still they walk away with an advantage.
Missed shots there from both sides, and FURIA feeling the benefit there of that vector and that rate of fire. Lenda getting away with it. Fancy he's going to be able to find one as still in an engagement here. Just looking to try and challenge on to DJ Booth. The more players that NIP lose here, the less chance they're going to have of being able to successfully get that plant down and still occupy those power positions. You need to ideally take this site as inexpensively as possible, but it is costing NIP dearly here. Fancy picks up one onto Pino. And now it really only leaves Julio and Kamikaze with any hope left to try and salvage this round. 2 versus 5. 30 seconds left. Julio looking to make his way on through. Will be able to flash out the player on Vars. Kamikaze's looking to drone out onto the site, but FURIA, they've got double redundancy. Highs is going to be holding the angle as well onto the top of Cool Vibes, and Miracle finds the final player dropping on into the bathroom. Not being pushed, not being challenged, barely even being pressured inside a site. FURIA take round number 3.
Yeah, not a scratch on that defense for FURIA. No utility really being used by NIP either. I mean, the fact that we're seeing Awamai just sit in Hall of Fame with a shield ollie and just peek onto the DJ deck is very surprising. That piece of equipment should just be blitzed right off the get-go from NIP. Very, very surprising.
Yep.
But hey, FURIA, they'll take that round 2-1 now. I mean, obviously that first engagement, it was so sketchy, and maybe that could have really changed the course of battle, but no, just didn't work out for them. But no, you just have to say, just very, very impressive from FURIA all around. Now they will move into their next bomb site. Into the kitchen we go. So obviously a few changes that we've seen where kitchen is, you now have to push in deep, like really deep into pantry almost to get that diffuser down. No more can you just plant in the delivery door and just hope it works. You have to push in deeper. And also, Ollie, we're going to see that window. So no more metal bars that I'm sure many people have had issues with in the past, Ollie. I know you have. It's now going to be a window. So just a few changes, but other than that, usually plays out the same. Teams trying to hold upstairs. We know the attackers want to get in above. The vertical game is still as big as ever on Coastline. That hasn't changed one bit.
If I was going into a conflict zone, I would want body armor making out of those bars. I think that'd be your best chance of survival, because those things used to be bulletproof. Regardless, like, I don't care. There's just no way you could get through.
Have I had a bit of a nerve there, a bit of a childhood nightmare, Ollie? There.
I'm just glad they're removed. I'm glad they're removed. I think Banks seen them gone as well, so it's everyone's.
Just loving the bank changes as well, are you? You're an elevator man, just waiting for the vault drops.
I mean, I like the bank changes. I'll be honest with you. I think it was good and refreshing to see it yesterday, and we're getting a good couple of changes in on a couple of maps now, and it just freshens everything up. And Coastline, for all that it was played before, it's now a lot more viable, and that's demonstrated with some of the scorelines that we've seen on it. Something that isn't going too well here is that opening engagement. Fancy's going to be able to find Pino once again. It's a kill that's going to go untraded. And that's a really big problem here for NIP. I say that, and Kamikaze will eventually come on through. It's a little bit of a later trade, but a trade nonetheless. One of the first times we've really seen that happen and be effective, and Kamikaze's just steamrolling in through sight. This isn't what we expect from him. He usually plays the hard support and leaves a lot of the heavy lifting to players like Pino and Muzi and Psycho, but in this round at least, he's able to find himself a good couple of kills. Muzi from above, he's going to be able to take down highs. Slowly but surely, Furia are just getting dismantled here.
Yeah, getting teared apart now by... Oh no, just NIP gives them so many kills, and Furia all down to Rare by himself. 1v3 will find the kill into Muzi, but I mean, Muzi has done as much as he can that round, opening up a lot of kills for his side, and this is where Diffuser can go down, and NIP just need to wait out Rare. Not much he can do, doesn't have a lot of information either. Man in kitchen for NIP. It's a yellow ping, but it's really all he gets. Know where Diffuser is, and just a fight against this man inside a kitchen, and this is where NIP just have to sit back, relax. That's a great shot onto Kamikaze, but what else can he do? Not much. Julio swings in at the perfect time, gets that refrag, and NIP move on. They get a second round of the board.
NIP starting to make something happen there. It really all started with that opening engagement, despite it going to Furia. After that, nothing else really did. Kamikaze able to refrag and double down. Really take that top floor control with ease. I think the fact that Muzi was able to get 2 kills from the hatch, that's got to, you know, flag up a couple of question marks from Furia as to just how and why that was being played in that fashion. But maybe questions for another time. You can see just how effective that opening engagement was there, and Rare had an opportunity, but it's always going to be a tough one, especially when you've got to try and hit that retake and you're getting peaked from every single angle possible. I guess you could look at that from a very analytic and critical point of view and go, you know, it was a little bit daft of Julio to swing onto that. If Rare gets the kill, he's got a better chance there of isolating the next 1v1, but with the time running as short as it was pretty much a done deal there for NIP. And now we move off. We go back upstairs into hookah and billiards.
And this was a great attack from NIP. They got flawless here. So what are Furia going to change? What will they try and do differently to prepare for NIP? It is strange to see them set up a lot of utility ollie towards Penthouse and Fear, considering the fact that NIP did a very simple take. All they needed was hookah control, and they simply walked in and got their kills.
Yeah, NIP and not overcommitting, I think, to the site is something that they do exceptionally well, and it's something that you can really get away with when attacking into hookah and billiards. Already, you can look at the positioning of the blue X-rays on the map, and you can see the positions that NIP are occupying. Rare's going to grab the opener this time onto Psycho. Miracle just focused on holding that upside down repel. He knows that Pino is going to be on that. Pino is always on that upside down repel. He's going to be trying his best to just land a couple of shots onto him. It's not going to take much. You've got to be mindful of just how powerful those angles can be. Kamikaze, he's going to shut Miracle down as he was caught short on that endeavor, leveling things up 4 men apiece. Now the pressure can really start to mount.
The pressure will be enough to crack. In the meantime, that's taking a bit of a slower approach. NIP now, losing Psycho. Trying to see if they can go for a different approach. Now they're starting to look towards Aqua potentially. Still players below. From Furia that they will have to deal with. I mean, a triple C4 setup still on the board. It's going to be scary for NIP to go up against, and I'm not sure if they're going to be ready for it. Pino eliminates Fantasy. There's Irinigon. That was the man holding down in towards Vase. Does open up potential now for Hookah. Wall off site also, so NIP, I mean, hey, they can maybe try and flood the bomb site if they wanted to, just considering where the numbers are placed and the positionings. Oh, Furia. Be caught with their pants down. NIP. Just waiting for the meantime, seeing if they can find any more picks before they have to make a move before that timer really starts to give them issues.
Pino's got himself onto the balcony now, but Rare is kind of thirsting after that one. I'm wondering if he's working off a bit of intel here or just a bit of sound. He got a glimpse of Kamikaze but wasn't able to land. Needs to try and keep himself alive here. There's still plenty of time remaining for NIP. 2 C4s left, one in the hands of Rare, one in the hands of Lender. Rare is conscious on holding the door, but he knows he needs to worry about holding onto the window as well. He can reactivate the Suri gate. It's going to be a big win at this point. Forces NIP to burn that out. Lender finds the kill over onto Pino. That Tarp's Repel not being successful at all, but Muzi comes in from the backside and is Rare. What a round you have had. Finds the kill onto Kamikaze. Knows where the diffuser is. Can he pick the last one up as well? Eyes, I think, will just beat him to it. Picking up the final 2 kills there. What a great play from Rare inside of Hookah.
Great stuff from Rare indeed. FURIA, I'm telling you, Ollie, this side just impresses me every round I see them play. It just keeps better and better, it has to be said. So, yeah, phenomenal work from them. FURIA, last round on the defense now is where we head to, Ollie. Last round for them. And they're going to go for Penthouse and Theater, Ollie. So, it was a bomb site that they held extremely well, Ollie. A flawless for them.
You got a question, can Fancy do the same again? I think that was the round where he was on the Wamai and had the shield inside a Hall of Fame. He eventually peeks through the Selma hole that was made inside of the VIP wall and just essentially shoots somebody in the back. It was a round that NIP never really got started on. It was one of those where they were unable to get any significant trades. Since then, the trades have been a little bit better, but you've still got to question it.
So, whenever we've seen the kind of last time play out, an early kill was great for FURIA. It was down to an Echo Drone also, so we do see some value coming out from the Echo Drones, which... I mean, it's a bit surprising to see Echo be brought whenever Valkyrie is open, and usually you would think, oh, Valkyrie is much better pick for a map like Coastline, where... I would say on Coastline, there's never really a safe place to sit, so if you're like an Echo person who has to kind of sit their drones, you could get droned out and naded out extremely easily, whereas Valkyrie, you know, you kind of have that flexibility of being able to move around and all that kind of stuff, so yeah, it can be tricky for them. And straight away, we can see, once again, I think an open engagement's going to come down very, very quick. I think Muzi is going to be the first man up for NIP to try and get those engagements.
Muzi's been doing quite a good job on the entry so far. Certainly isn't lacking by any stretch of the imagination. NIP needs to come up with a solution to deal with Fantasy here. He's got a lot of utility there to keep him alive inside a Hall of Fame. He's got a couple of magnets, laser gate on the door, Goyo shield, but instantly dips off, knows that he is going to eventually get pushed out of there, especially with the coordination that NIP are capable of. Got himself back down into sight just to get a couple more of those magnets out there. He's got plenty of space now and doesn't really need to worry, but more importantly for NIP, he's been forced out of that power position. Muzi going to make an entrance here into Hookah. Not sure if he knows where Highs is playing. Highs, I don't think will have intel on that. There are players in position to maybe get a bit of a refrag off here if Muzi does get the go-ahead to push on through. As Rare moves up as well. This is going to accumulate in engagement at some point, but everyone's just taking this very cautiously, Demo.
Yeah, very, very slow paced. Oh, Rare almost gets wallbanged by Muzi. But still, a minute to go. NIP haven't got any kills, haven't really got any map control either. And FURIA still have a whole host of that. They have VIP now. What can they really do with those Echo Drones still being up, with 2 C4s still in the back pocket of FURIA? This is going to be very difficult for NIP, and I'll be very impressed if they can pull this round off. Things are not looking good for them. NIP, what do you do? Where do you go?
Well, Kamikaze is going to try and get the plant down, it seems, but the Yokai drones are going to at least put him off for the time being. It will be shot out. I's not in a position to do much else and will be taken on down. NIP have set up beautifully for this one, holding every single member of FURIA, and at the right moment pouncing, everybody landing the shots. A flawless round.
Flawless indeed. Surprised why we're seeing 2 C4s and neither of them being used to try and stop the plant. Yeah, FURIA just being caught there. I mean, if you look at the actual bomb site, Ollie, it is very easy to plant. It's probably one of the easiest bomb sites to actually get a plant down in because it has a blind spot. There's not many areas that has a blind spot that you can plant as safely as you can in Coastline. Like you've mentioned with the double window being a thing, nobody's able to swing into bedroom and eliminate you on the bed, which is obviously where everyone tries to plant. So it's all about the denial from below. Keep in mind that position, it can get exploded from a C4 inside a kitchen. So I'm surprised why we're not seeing FURIA utilize that to their advantage. They have 2 C4s for a reason. Why are they not using them?
Time to switch things up. FURIA, they are now moving on to the attack. NIP moving on to the defense. An equal 3-3 split for either team. Not really sure who that bodes well for now as we hit the change. We know that FURIA are a terrifying team attacking, especially on Coastline. But NIP they've built that momentum up over the last couple of rounds. They've really managed to get themselves together. There's a good chance that they'll be able to start chaining something substantial here, but I think a lot's going to hinge on these early couple of rounds, get an idea of just how aggressively FURIA want to try and take into this. Something that NIP did exceptionally well was removing a lot of the pace out of the game and trying not to give that opening pick away so much for free, and as soon as those opening picks started being traded and then going in the other direction, and then they just worked a masterclass in the previous round of information gathering and angle holding. We'll have to see if FURIA have got the same minerals to do the same.
There we go. For FURIA. Very heavy in towards the aqua side of things. Only 4 of them outside of that balcony. So I have a feeling that it might be an aqua take from FURIA. I just don't know what it is, but I think that's where they're going to try and head. Kamikaze of aqua. He's inside of it. Oh, Julio tries to fight with a long angle onto the balcony, but does get down. Thankfully, Muzi is close enough to get the pickup. Still not a great position, I think, for NIP to be in. NIP know that Kamikaze's in a disastrous position for him to be in, and he has to quickly get out of there, and he will do so. Drop in towards office. Miracle will catch him, though. 1 HP! Miracle is on and still wins that engagement. That was close, and almost Kamikaze with a bit of a great escape there if he got that kill, but nope, not going to work out for him. So FURIA, they have what they wanted, Ollie. They have the aqua control. Now it's just a matter of time before this push finally comes in.
Makes sense for FURIA to be moving with haste here as well. With the smoke ban, it gives them that opportunity. They've got less to burn in terms of utility. They've got 1 C4 left in Psycho's hands, so the chance of them getting the plant down, if they get themselves into the right position, it's going to be a lot easier for them, but getting into the right position is going to be easier said than done. Psycho, he's going to be able to take down Rare. Miracle still sitting on 1 HP. Fantasy with the team kill nade. Not something that you love to see, especially when it's on to Lender, and Lender was one of the healthier members left on the side of FURIA in terms of hit points. Diffuser still on the floor inside of Aquarium. Upside down repel being held, but to what end? Fantasy he's managed to take down Pino. He's got himself hopped on in and shuts in Psycho down as well, as if by magic. 2 quick kills, but Julio, that ever-present threat. Remember that player that you downed in the first few seconds? Well, you've got to finish him off because he's going to be a nuisance. He's now left in the 1 versus 2. He does have full control of the diffuser. Fancy going to push on round. No information. Excuse me. What has gone on there? Fancy just sprints to his death. Julio holding on to the angle. Highs with the pre-fire. What a round. Highs has saved it there for his team.
Oh my words. Wow, wow, wow. So close again. FURIA, a little bit sloppy there in the end, all it has to be said, but thankfully they have highs to put his team on his back and win that round. So 4-3 is where we sit currently. We have a player drop out, but hopefully we will be able to get Julio back in. Oh, did Highs just hit him that hard that he actually got knocked out of the server, Ollie?
I think that was it. I think it was a full-on good night, wasn't it? I mean, that's an angle that it's such a rat angle to play, but you've just got no other choice, have you? You've got to go prone. You've got to try and be in some sort of off angle, give yourself as much cover as possible. But Highs, when you've got no option left, when you know that he's not fully rotated through into luggage, or at least you've not got that indication, you've just got to pre-fire what you can, and I think that's what we saw.
Yeah, that is definitely the kind of basis of what we seen during that last round. And I mean, FURIA, you would expect them to really step up their game, considering that they're going on to the attack of Coastline. With the bans as well, Ollie. I mean, you don't have to worry about a kite charge on any of your walls if you're taking VIP. That's very, very easy. And also, like you mentioned, smoke. It gives you so much more time to work with. But like you said, Ollie, they hit Aquarium as quick as they could because they knew they had a lot more time to work with. You don't have to worry about those smokes anymore.
I think FURIA reacting to the bans really well there, as just gives them even more time to work with, and the more pressure that you can put on the earlier, usually the better. It's on the defenders to try and hold off and to defend against that onslaught, and the longer that they are under direct fire and under direct pressure for, the more opportunity you have to get an advantage or for them to make a mistake. So I think FURIA played that one, as you say, exceptionally well. So much so that I think Nick must have felt they played it pretty well as well, because we have moved sites back into Penthouse and Theatre. Never did I ever think that we would see this as... It's borderline... It's certainly second choice. It's borderline primary choice now, Demo, for how often we see this site.
It has been obviously quite the hit with Brazil. Certainly, I know we've had a few players kind of mention that, yeah, this is like the new prestigious bomb site that everyone wants to go to and try and hold. And we've seen a lot of unique ways. This is probably the most unique way that I think I've been seen be played. We're having a castle barricade onto the doorway between the two bomb sites, which is already crazy. And then they've opened up both of the soft walls. They've opened both of them up. They've got Goyo shields being played through impact holes. They've got reinforcements down on VIP walls, in towards 90 as well. This is insanity, Ollie.
It's extravagant, and that's what it is. Sometimes the more complicated something is, the more potential there is for something to go wrong. A lot of double redundancy as well in the castle barricades and the laser gates. See how FURIA choose to approach. Already Miracle looking like he's fairly directly going to be approaching that double window. Eyes just covering as the wall gets mavericked open. Muzi will be on the reverse of that angle, though. A small chance that these two come together. Muzi just tap firing on through. We'll actually find the opener onto Fantasy. So, despite the pressure that Muzi's feeling there from the rappel, and albeit it isn't a great deal, but it's pressure nonetheless, still able to shut down Fantasy.
Yeah, both of them just trying to peek each other through those maverick holes, Ollie, and you know, it's almost an instance where you could see like the bullets collide with each other, Ollie.
Yeah.
You know, like we've seen, isn't it, two bullets collided with each other back in World War I. It was like a 1 in a billion chance to like happen.
It's like the biggest myth ever, that, by the way. Don't get me started on it. Apparently it happens all the time.
To be fair, do you know what's like less likely, or you know, less likely to happen than that happening again?
Go on.
3 bullets colliding with each other.
Get out of it.
I mean, am I wrong? Nope, not wrong. So yeah, we'll see now how NIP want to play it, as they do have the advantage. Sure, they've lost the VIP control, but then again, they're set up. They have players inside of Fear. Maybe they don't have the denial, which would be the only worry. But look at the angle that Muzi has. He can pretty much deny anyone wanting to go in for the plant. Oh, rare. You hate to see it. Tries to dump in with the utility, but gets peeked using these soft walls, and wow. I'm really impressed with how NIP are holding this. They've got everything covered right now. Miracle has swung in, but he is in a terrible position. And NIP are taking no prisoners. They're rushing straight in and taking everything that's theirs. And Highs, well, what can you do in this round? Set on the rappel. Try your best, I suppose. What time is against them? 5 seconds. Any exit kills? Any NIP players wanting a death? No.
And that clip is probably an example of why Hayes is one of the highest rated players inside of Stage 3, saving his KD there, and who can blame him? 1 versus 5 with less than 10 seconds left. Never a nice situation to be in. Better off not giving them the option to shut you on down. Great round from NIP by all accounts. They were able to stamp FURIA out very quickly indeed. There was nothing that really even came close to a threat. You sort of mentioned the extravagant setup there, Demo. I mean, you got to commend NIP for it. It worked for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very, very creative for them. And they took it very, very well. So now we sit 4 rounds apiece, very back and forth. Was this expected? That's the question, Ollie. You know, what kind of hopes did we have for NIP? They are in a massive slump. I think they're putting up a good fight. I think maybe better than what I expected. Especially considering who they're up against. A young team who is on a cloud 9 right now with how they've been playing.
I think the NIP are doing exceptionally well. You know, they were down and out coming into this game, but they've shown that championship mentality in terms of what they're able to fight back from. You know, they might have lost the first couple of games, but that's history now, and they've got to try and focus on the here and now. And that's what they've done inside of this one. It's the most competitive game we've seen NIP play so far, aside from that opening game where they played against Liquid. That one, of course, went to maximum overtime. And that one, too, was played out here on Coastline. So I think it's maybe a bit of a stretch to suggest that NIP are a Coastline team and only a Coastline team. But we certainly have a fondness for this map. And if that's going to assist them today in coming away with some points that they desperately need, then more power to them.
FURIA, how will they approach this round? Bit of information already being gained. You can see 2 players in towards Vaesen. Well, that window that Pino is a big fan of, it's now going to be adapted, I think, from FURIA. They can utilize it as well, and actually thinks against that and decides to rotate down towards Kitchen. So, all over the show, really, for FURIA. Sunrise and Blue Bar is what they have control of, so I'm expecting to see some nade kills from below, Ollie. If you're going downstairs with your naders, primarily, you would expect to see some kills follow up after that. Coastline still has a huge impact of soft destructible flooring that you can kill, like, some really strong anchor positions. I look to where currently Julio is playing at the moment. 1 nade in that position. You know, we've seen so many times, Ollie, a nade just kills after kills happen.
Yeah, some players are really prolific with those nades thrown vertically as well. Less so Fantasy, and I guess less so inside of this game. One of the most memorable nade kills he's got, if the only one potentially, was actually onto his teammate Lender. So he's got a bit to prove here with the grenades. But still, there's plenty of time inside of this round for that to happen. As it stands, NIP just currently occupying a couple of positions, mainly at the top of Cool Vibe stairs, and pushing on down. Pino sits Lender down, also manages to dodge the player that's going to be holding on the Tarps rappel as well. Fantasy finally comes in with the refrag. But is it going to be enough? He too is instantly traded 1 for 1 as Hayes makes it work from the rappel and levels things up back to a 3 versus 3. Make it 3 versus 2 as he doubles down, picking one up onto Julio as well. Muzi is going to be challenging now, potentially, onto Aquarium as he looks to push on through. Kamikaze's already taken care of Miracle. It allows Muzi to push himself into Billiards. A little bit further up, but the plant is going down. Nothing in the form of denial, and that plant will be allowed to go down for free in a 2 versus 2. That's a horrible place to try and retake onto. They see defenders scurrying to the other side just to get a slightly better line of attack. That DMR is not the weapon that you want in this instance, Muzi, and you will be punished for it. Kamikaze trying to back him up. This is scrappy stuff. It shows how much both of these 2 teams want it. Kamikaze does manage to shut down one in rare, but Hayes with the cover from the window. It will be sufficient. Picks himself up too. Brilliant. And locks in the round for FURIA.
Brilliant work from Hayes that round. And Ollie, the air jab came in so clutch in that round. Already a difficult plant position. To try and get a plant down on that hookah door is very, very difficult. A lot of pressure going down onto Hayes' shoulders there. But the air jab just delayed them enough to get that diffuser down. And from that position, nobody is touching you on that hookah window. So difficult. So I have to highlight that just a single Nomad was able to stop all of that happening. But, I mean, you have to give credit to where it's due for Highs there, Ollie. Held his bottle extremely well in that 1v2.
Never an easy one to do either, you know. If you're on Repel, you're a known player. You are a known, you know, angle to pre-fire. Highs has got a couple of locations to worry about there. He's got the window. He's potentially even got the sauna window as well, you know, depending on how much time's left and, you know, situationally that one comes to play into it. And then, of course, you've got somebody swinging you from the run out. So you've got a lot of things to be concerned with there. And it is very easy to fluff it, run out of ammo. I think one of the players did run out of ammo at one point. I recall seeing a pistol drawn at some point. You know, desperate times, desperate measures and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's why we saw NIP swinging in the way they did, knowing that if they just got the kill, they would eventually be able to, you know, have a better chance at trying to get that disable off. They need, of course, 7.5 seconds to try and do so. So the quicker that you're able to get the kills, the more chance you leave yourself to run back inside. But Highs played it exceptionally well. Currently 8-3. Really lighting up the scoreboard there. He's not the top fragger, but he's costing very little. 3 deaths so far inside of the 9 rounds that we've seen. This being round number 10. It's impressive stuff.
Wow, impressive.
Here we go.
It just keeps getting better, Ollie. Straight into Sunrise. Eyes on top of the world. Nobody can slow him down at the moment with the form he's on. I mean, NIP, looking at an all-round performance, all of them doing fairly well, but then you have these exceptional players starting to step up for FURIA Fantasy, and Highs especially has been the big leaders. Sure, maybe covering for Miracle and Lenda at this stage, but still, they're winning the rounds where it counts. And Ollie, we've said many a times, one single player having a pop-off game, you can't do anything against them.
No, you can't. And I think that one player, or that, should I say that one role, has kind of been shared between both Fantasy and Highs, right? Fantasy had a cracking defensive phase, and Highs is having a really good attacking phase. So that's a very dangerous combination where you're not really just relying on one player. Both players have shown brilliance throughout. This round, however, FURIA do seem to be struggling. Kamikaze with the swing hits the long shot onto Fantasy, and he'll join Miracle flicking through those cameras, trying to provide any assistance that they can to the remaining members that are going to be alive. It's a fairly direct approach here by FURIA. There are still defenders occupying VIP upstairs, and yet the site is being pressured. Psycho shuts down Lender. A hop in from Rare. Is it going to be successful? Could find himself in an engagement with Kamikaze and will win it. Highs has also flooded on through, and now the attackers have to try and retake. Both players there missing out on shots. Man advantage firmly with NIP as they currently are 3 versus 2, but that isn't going to matter as the retake here is on, and Rare is left in the 1 versus 3. Quickly makes it a 1v2. Has some information and is going to actually try and get the plant down. He must have a lot of information if this is what he's going for here. Nerves of steel from Rare. And now the panic sets in. Not able to get himself outside. He knows that he needs to try and hold this. Gets himself in one engagement. Lands a good couple of shots onto both players here, but knows eventually he will be pinched. He needs to come up with something magical. NIP need to time this perfectly, and they do. Julio picks up that final kill. Muzi disables that diffuser. Great teamwork there from the 2 remaining players on the side of Nip.
Yeah, nice attempt there from Rare, but oh, if he got that kill onto Julio as he swung out of bathroom and he got those shots connected, oh, it would have been fun then. But nope, NIP, they did all of the work in the early game. They really did. They set themselves up and it was a good retake. They took their time with it. They approached it as slow as each other. Nobody was getting ahead of one another. So yeah, well done to NIP in that scenario. So again, we're back all square, 5-5. A great game so far. Great game so far. So I am excited to see how this one's going to play out next as we head into another NIP defense. So what room name is just called Relax? What is that? What is just Relax?
Relax. It is, well, it's going to be either Sunrise. Sorry, it's going to be either hookah or billiards. I would imagine, given the context, it is going to be hookah.
So hookah, but isn't the bomb site called Hookah Lounge? That wouldn't just be Relax, would it?
I mean, lounge is...
Hold on.
I'm not sure, though, because lounge
I'm gonna look it up.
Lounge on Clubhouse is actually called Lounge. If you look down at the little tooltip near the compass at the bottom. If you're on Clubhouse, obviously, which we're not, but we have been today. Lounge is called Lounge, so unsure.
Yeah, I've just put in relax, and it just came up relax.
Who knows? Maybe it's just called something else. Maybe it just means something else.
If anyone could help us, that would be great.
Here we go. Producer Simon. Producer Simon's good at Portuguese.
He is. He's Mr. Worldwide out here. It's a real hit. Everywhere he goes, Mr. Worldwide.
What do you reckon, Demo? Maximum overtime, or a clean win?
Oh, that is a tough one. I think if I was going back and forth, I think OT definitely in the cards. If I'm predicting, I would say FURIA take this round and then NIP respond and we go 6-6.
I think there's potential for an OT here, and that was really what I was trying to get at there, is that there's no clear winner. You know, equal halves is looking like the order of the day. NIP have really brought another couple of extra gears here, and they really needed to. You know, they haven't had the best stage so far, but that is now behind them. They are coming up against a very good side, an on-form side in FURIA, and that's an important distinction to make here. The FURIA really are on their A-game at the moment, and that's being demonstrated here as these two battle at it back and forth. There's not been glaring errors or serious misplays on either side. It's just been good old Siege, good two teams that are equally matched going at it. And that's the big takeaway, but Lender, he's going to find himself first blooded. Not having the greatest game in terms of his contribution on the scoreboard, but it is going to be refragged. Fantasy desperate for that one. So much so he's going to use his Gon 6.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, that's value, because not only did he get a kill with the Gon 6, he also destroyed the deployable shield in the midst of that. So massive value. The stunks have just went right up with that Gon 6. So yeah, very, very impressive stuff from Fantasy. Oh, Psycho, what a swing. He's became revitalized all of a sudden on this MP5K ollie. He's been hitting some great shots and still just skipping around the bomb site, showing no fear whatsoever in Fantasy. He has to make a play now. Up these cool vibes. This is the position that you would expect to see the Iana really work in. And nade goes through, and Psycho tries to go for the Hail Mary leap, but a C4 out of nowhere hits Fantasy where it hurts. And now Highs tries to walk in, but he himself gets shut down, and so does Miracle. NIP. It was a fast and furious round, but they stay together like a family, and they win it.
NIP had a response for just about everything there. They had every angle covered. No sweat. No questions asked. Match point here for NIP. I'm not too sure, but I reckon that could be enough here for them to just take the whole thing. I think that the momentum that they've got, the fact that they are now going into Penthouse and Theatre, it's just maybe not the most ideal site. I know we've got very mixed opinions on it. We're still waiting for, you know, to see how it's truly going to play out. They've defended very well from here previously. I think, was it a flawless round demo last time? If it wasn't, it was very close to.
Yeah, I think it was. Well, they didn't kill Highs. They didn't kill him. It was end up him. But
yeah, that was it. Highs stayed alive on the DJ booth, didn't he? Well, I mean, that tells you all you need to know. FURIA got nowhere near when attacking this site previously.
Okay. 6-5. NIP, you're really staring down the barrel of getting their first win this season, and I'm surprised we've got to Playday number 4, Ollie, to say that. That's already a big surprise, but all credit to NIP. They look revitalized. Every single player has put in a shift today, which I think is a big difference. There hasn't been anyone kind of slowing each other down. All of them know what they need to do, and they're here for business. No mucking around, straight in, get the job done.
Yeah, this is the best we've seen NIP so far as well. You know, they've looked very clean here today. And I think that confidence is slowly but surely coming back. It's obviously going to be demotivating and demoralizing to lose a couple of games. Especially when the expectation is that you're going to walk away with some wins there, so. They're going to be feeling pretty good about themselves, but it isn't all over. There's still the chance that this one goes to an OT. The FURIA more than capable of bringing this one back. The fact that it was a flawless round previously doesn't mean that it's going to be a flawless round again. FURIA have had time to think and ponder and figure out ways of adapting and overcoming some of the problems that they were facing previously. One of the bigger problems was Muzi and the fact that he's allowed to play from deep, just outside of VIP, in and around that 90 corridor area, and that's something that's being dealt with directly here as Fantasy pushes his way on through, finds two. You can see the drones working ahead of him. He even knows where Kamikaze is and chunks him down. Kamikaze 1 HP, gets his way back on into the site. The nade unsuccessful, but Fantasy is out for blood here.
Great respawn from FURIA. Have obliterated NIP and what they've tried to attempt with their hold, and it leaves them in a bit of a dire situation, only a 2 versus 5, and FURIA looking to push it into overtime. So I did say that I think FURIA would have won the last round and NIP would respawn, but looks as if I got it the other way around. So now FURIA, they were on the back foot, but they have responded extremely well, and they're in prime position to push this to OT. Only a matter of time now before NIP eventually do crack, unless Kamikaze and Pino have something else to say about it, but at this stage it is looking unlikely. Pino, though, does respond with one, and Kamikaze now with another, and all of a sudden there is potential on table. Well done to Kamikaze, 1 HP in his dream. Never count this side out. They will clutch in an instant. You blink and you'll miss it, but Lander didn't miss his shots. And goes Kamikaze, and into OT we go!
Overtime confirmed. Our suspicions have been realised. I was a little bit of a doubter for a time. I think that NIP would have the momentum to take that one as a clean win, but we do end up going into an overtime. Not an ideal situation, it's worth mentioning, for NIP. Obviously, they've dropped a lot of points so far. Would have been nice to get a clean 3. The best they can now do is 2 points out of this one. And it is still by no means over. Back into the hookah and billiards. NIP remain on the defense. What about this demo? Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I think that's a big risk, though.
This is a big risk indeed.
Ying comes in and can cause a lot of issues for the defense, but then again, you're playing right into a Warden. So already, there is a prime counter to the Ying. I don't know, I don't feel too easy with the Ying pick, I'll be honest, Ollie. FURIA really need, I think, to get the opening picks, first of all. Because if they try to execute with the Ying in a 5v5, I think NIP, they'll have that all day of the week.
Yeah, I don't think that the Ying is the beachhead that you'd look to for, you know, maybe like a Monty or something like that, you know, where you can try and execute off the back of that in a 5 versus 5. The Ying is really a bit more of a, you know, you need some sort of advantage before looking to try and deploy those Candelas and gain any significance off the back of them. We'll see where Rare chooses to use them. One of the more successful aspects of the last couple of rounds has been getting Fantasy in and getting him droned in effectively and just providing him with a couple of people to target. Lender finds himself a freebie. Psycho. How is he caught out like that? Muzi with the refrag though. Look at the nerve of Muzi with that one.
Yep.
Just fearlessly swings on down.
Does not care who you are, he will swing. So 4v4. Early engagements right off the rip. Did say that I think FURIA needed to get an opening pick, and they've done so, and it is onto Psycho, who has had good success rate onto actually defending this bomb site. As well, my discs, getting them off the table are also going to be very, very handy to have whenever it comes down to the final execute. Julio is in a position. If he gets turned out, though, he will be caught by surprise, but until then, you need to sit tight and wait and see if anyone wants to give themselves up. I see misses his drone, though, and I think FURIA are just taking their time to reevaluate what they want to go for.
FURIA have got enough time to do so as well. Over a minute and a half left. As we've already mentioned, no smoke means that there's less pressure on the final few seconds in the round. What information here is available for NIP? Pino still has a nitro cell. He's actually going to get quite brave and look to swing onto this Chunks Fantasy down somewhat, but it isn't going to be enough. Information gathered, and Fantasy is going to be able to take down Kamikaze. Now we see the Candelas really starting to come on through. Great nade tossed in. It's going to deal some damage on to Pino, but Fantasy is downed in process. Still a 3 versus 2 here for Furia, even accounting for the downed player. Muzi going to hold on to Cool Vibe Stairs. Julio outside of VIP. So a large portion of the site is going to be open and available here. But with so much time remaining, they can actually afford to get Fantasy up. He's going to drop and maybe look to try and make his way through that Cool Vibes area. Players on Repel now looking to put in some damage as well, as Miracle is going to be able to shut down Muzi. Highs from Repel, picks off Julio. Candela's going off, plant being confirmed. Great round there from Furia.
Well, great stuff from Furia, and now they are back in the driving seat. Well, this has been an end-to-end game, right down to the wire, but, I mean, Furia, again, I think, played it extremely well. They took their time, they didn't want to rush. I think the fact that they knew that they had the Ying in the back pocket, who was going to be like the playmaker, yeah? If you're sending your Ying in, you have to wait until they're ready. You cannot move until then. So Fury were happy enough just to sit back and just wait until the opportunities kind of arose to them. So overall, just good siege from Furia. I mean, obviously that opening engagement, I would say, more than anything was a big changer. Like I mentioned, Furia being able to get on the board early would kind of shake NIP, and I think we've seen that.
Well, it is, and you take the YMI out first, you've had very limited utility out of that operator, and it's going to hurt you somewhat in the later part of the round, especially when you're going to be relying on some sort of throwable, whether it's nades. Fancy did really well with the nades. They didn't deal a great deal of damage, they dealt some, but they were more forcing players out of position, letting them know that they were there. And then obviously the Candelas coming through as well. I mean, the Candelas were a little bit overkill at the end, I'll be honest with you. It was a bit like a sledgehammer to knock a nail in, but it did the job, and it was guaranteeing the round for Furia. Puts them onto an overtime match point here. They switch sides onto the defense. It's been some time since we've seen NIP attack. They started off a little bit slow at the start of the game, but they did manage to pick it up so much so that they were able to take 3 rounds. Let's see how they choose to approach here and now when the pressure is really on.
Double window will be opened up now by Pino. There's a prime position to kind of play and see if you can execute onto the current roam setup. That is going to be deployed over towards the penthouse in Fear. And NIP just looking, I think, for a bit of a clean sweep volley. Trying to sweep every nook and cranny, not leaving anything to chance. And oh, Psycho just barely misses out on the headshot, but F2 at range can be temperamental weaponry. The kick in that does hit you quite hard if you're not ready for it. Sweep in through for NIP. This is where Fury have to be ready. Pino was straight in, and this is where NIP can now start to execute on this roam game.
Pino hasn't been too dangerous in that entry kill stat line so far, but there is always time for that to change. Still yet to see an opening kill inside of this round. NIP, a bit more of a tentative start here, and they're almost doing what they do in the mid-round at the start of this round, and that is that information gathering. They like to get all their ducks in a row and have a good idea of where everybody is on their opposing team, so that when they need to, they can start to really work that execute, and typically it gets worked in good synchronization with everybody else. Rare going to eat a ton of damage there as he does get challenged outside of billiards. Will eventually dip himself down and get safely on into kitchen. Hatches being open though provide quick and easy access for the attackers to rotate on down. Rare's made himself safely to that main lobby. Fancy getting pretty brave, looking to peek all the way out onto ruins. It's going to be Muzi to grab your opener here inside of this round. Julio backing it up with one onto Rare. 2 kills going unresponded here, and this already looks like it's going to go NIP's way.
Yeah, it looks very good for them now, Ollie, doesn't it? They have the upstairs control. They were able to scare away Fury as best that they could. Fantasy challenge with a pistol. He himself gets shut down, and Quite similar to how NIP were defending some of their rounds. It seems as if it's only a matter of time before the defense just cracks, and that's the exact same scenario here. Wow, somehow High's got a kill on Depino, but very quickly trade off by Muzi, and Lenda has no chance against NIP. Another full overtime game, Ollie, is where we stand. Round 15 coming up.
Max overtime. We are seriously paying for yesterday. And those 7-0s, 7-2s, 7-3s. We've had 2 back-to-back barn burners here. I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. NIP and FURIA going neck and neck. 7 rounds apiece. NIP back onto the defense. They're going downstairs into the kitchen, which hasn't been a very popular site up until now. I don't think it's going to do anything to throw FURIA off. Obviously, you mentioned about the changes of not being able to plant inside of the service anymore, Demo, so it has fallen out of popularity somewhat from a defender's perspective. I think given the changes that we've seen to Penthouse and Theatre, it's just sort of knocked it off that top spot, but it's still a very viable site. If we recall, last time FURIA attacked into here, came down to a 2 versus 1 in favour of NIP. Rare was able to get the plant down, but was unable to pick up the final 2 kills. NIP played it beautifully. It was a great retake. But they were very willing to lose control of the site, and FURIA went for a very direct approach. I'd like to see this time if FURIA are going to try and clear out that roam game. It's a point that we've made a couple of times, but it's worth making again here and now in the last round, is that because the smoke is not in play, you do have more time, so you can afford to clear out that roam game and still have enough time to execute onto site.
NIP falls in your court, and they should be able to win this one out. The defense has been good for them. But then again, FURIA, I mean, Ollie, they've had some fairly good attacking rounds also. FURIA, you want to go? Dealing with a castle strat upstairs. This is almost similar to what they did whenever they defended the Penthouse FURIA, Ollie, is that they would open up those 2 soft walls and castle the middle door frame. That gives them just a bit of an opportunity to peek from left to right, always kind of keeping the attackers on their toes. Thankfully, though, for FURIA, if you are a FURIA fan, your team has got the opening pick, and that usually does spell good things for them. Now FURIA, they have that man advantage, Ollie. This is where they can slow the pace down to their playstyle that suits them. And hopefully, they can do the business.
As you mentioned, that opening pick being a big deciding factor here. It's going to remove one of the C4s as well. Lenda just able to gather some footprints. Fantasy playing, just awaiting the information. We've seen how deadly he can be off the back of said info. Nice line of sight in through into Blue Bar, though. It's just going to cause Fantasy some problems. Going to hop into the drone for the time being. Discovers players inside a main lobby, and Miracle can now look to move in to assist. Psycho takes Fantasy down. Is Miracle going to be able to get a refrag onto this? Does land a couple of shots, but it isn't really going to be enough here. Will shut down onto Psycho, but there is another player in behind the bar. He's going to be able to exchange shots here with Muzi, the UMP. The greatest gun for this engagement, but it will have to do. Kamikaze trying to provide a little bit of support through the drone hole as well. Even if it's only a couple of shots, it'll do the job. And Muzi and Kamikaze, well, I think you can say that they share that last one. Kamikaze finishing him off there through the drone hole, I imagine. But an equal 3 versus 3 now. Still a long way to go here for FURIA. They've got time on their side. Over 40 seconds here as Rare and Highs are a little bit split up here, and so much so Lenda, he's going to be the next player to fall. Rare needs to try and push his way on through here, but Kamikaze shuts down Highs, and FURIA have just got trapped, caught out by these roamers. 1 versus 3. A difficult situation to be in at the best of times, but you don't want this when it's match point. Rare finds one onto Muzi, and we're way back where we started. Again, 2 versus 1 on the kitchen site, but this time Rare doesn't have as much information as he's previously had. The two remaining players from NIP very split up. Pre-fire is going to give the game away. The alibi causing some confusion. Can he land his shots? Looks for the pre-fire, but Kamikaze hits home, lands the shots, and secures NIP their first win here in Stage 3.
What a swing. The roamers just running rampant in Coastline for NIP. And they clean up very nice in the end game. FURIA, they had the opening pick goalie. They were looking in good shape. And then it all came crashing down for them. NIP pick up their first win of the season. It took them 4 playdays to get to this. But here they are. NIP finally get a win.
Not quite the same level of celebration as we saw from Ints earlier on this evening. More of a sort of somber relief, I think, from NIP there, as they've been able to come away with a win. It's not MIBR, it is NIP.
It's not MIBR.
It's not today. I mean, it's the first win. At least give them some credit. You know, we need the winner scream for them. Bless them. They've been trying their hearts out.
They're not used to it, Ollie. They're not used to it.
Oh, that's it. Simon hasn't got the button for it because they've not won yet, you see.
Never used it yet.
So I think NIP, you know, what can you say? Very well deserved. They really looked quite relieved to get that. You know, we commented on it at the time. We could see the player cams. It wasn't a serious cheer. You know, there weren't people throwing headsets down and hurling mice across the room. It was a little bit more reserved than that. And I think that they are going to be relieved. I hope we get to speak to Julio and just get a bit of an insight into some of the behind the scenes there. But it's a relief as a fan as well. You know, it's a relief as a lover of the league and of the game to see NIP getting somewhere here and not just being so down and out.
Yeah, Chunks, what do you think of that one, NIP? Back to their winning ways.
Well, it certainly looks like it could be a start. It was a look of relief for NIP, though, as you mentioned, Ollie. You could tell that they were stressed out. They've struggled so much this stage, but finally being able to do it, it's super impressive. You got to say, though, at the same time, Ollie, FURIA, they put up such a decent fight. They fought tooth and nail to take it the distance right there.
They really did, and your heart's got to go out to them. You know, that's the second time I can remember, just off the top of my head, that FURIA have played Coastline. It's gone to maximum overtime, and they've not walked away with the win in a game that, you know, it looked as though they had an equal chance as their opponent, the other one being Team Liquid back in stage number 2. So you've really got to feel for FURIA there, just not able to close it out. NIP showing that championship mentality and that capability that they have got. Couple of lackluster performances on the side of FURIA as well didn't help things there, but I think that NIP came here today with one thing on the mind and one thing only, and that was to get the win at all costs. I think they would have been thrilled with 3 points, but they're going to be happy enough with 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Demo, you can't talk about it enough, just how surprised we've been at times at how NIP have been doing. Do you think that this is the sign that they are back on track to what we saw in Stage 2 and obviously at SI?
You would like to hope so, that this is now a turning point for NIP, and they can now start to put a bit of momentum behind them, of course. So, yeah, it's a good start for NIP, but we need to see more. I wouldn't say that we're fully convinced. All because they've got one win, it doesn't pave over the cracks of the other 3.
No, it's a nerve. It's a nervous point, you can tell, for NIP right now. We'll see going into the next weeks how they end up doing. But before we do that, we do have an interview with Julio from NIP. Julio, it's been a little bit. It's good to be back speaking to you.
Hello, guys. Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a while indeed. Look, you guys have struggled the past few play days. Have you made any significant changes to your game plan, or was it just a case of having a few off days?
I think we are always trying to change when we lose, you know, like game style, like play faster, change the pace of the game, and we are trying everything, you know, to get back on point.
Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely made that fight happen right there, took it all the way to the end. I do want to ask you a little bit about Coastline, because obviously it is a slightly changed map in the pool. Obviously, the changes that have been made to the map have effect on playstyle. Do you think that that's maybe favored your playstyle or almost gone against it?
I don't think favorite. The map is better now, I think. You know, you can get you can pick another bomb site on defense, you know, so it's better. Yeah, we have a good Coastline. FURIA 2, they beat Team 1, and it was like good map against good map, and then we got able to get the victory.
Yeah, I mean, you guys absolutely scrapped it out right there. I think Ollie's got a question for you, though, right now.
Hey, Julio, it's great to see you again. Obviously, we've not had the fortune of getting to chat to you for a couple of weeks, but I just wanted to ask you, in terms of how often you guys are playing Coastline. I know it's something that Chunks has just touched on there, but we've seen you play it twice now. You obviously played it in week 1 against Liquid. Is the changes to Coastline something that you're sort of really excited about? Is it a map that you want to continue to try and play, or is it just the chance of ending up on that map a couple of times?
Yeah, we always like it Coastline, you know, it's one of our favorite maps, and the change was good, you know. The map didn't change a lot, you know. It's a little, you need to do more things, you know, like on the VIP and get the wall, but not that much things, you know. The map is the same, like mental, you know, the place, and yeah, we like the map and we always gonna play.
Yeah, well, definitely worked out for you this time around. Julio, thank you so much for joining us. I know it was only a short one, but I know that I'm sure you're tired after such a long match. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate. Hope to see you next week.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping. Well, that's it for NIP versus FURIA. Still one more game to go tonight, though, so do not go anywhere. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes.